Hello. Hi, how are you? Are you Leah? Yeah,
Sorry,
Ellie?
Alice.
Alice.
Yeah,
Oh, nice
nice
meeting
to
you.
meet you.
I don't think did you email?
I emailed like last time, when you
Oh,
did the
the
course.
first
Yeah,
one.
yeah, yeah,
Oh, wonderful. Well,
yeah.
thank you for coming. There's supposedly two other
Oh,
people,
okay.
maybe three, but
Sorry,
two of
I
them.
think I forgot to confirm because
Okay,
I
okay.
just read the email.
Yeah, yeah, no, no, no. Well, thank you for coming. You've been here before, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, well, wonderful. Make yourself
yeah.
comfy. We'll wait a few minutes.
Sure.
But yeah, oh, Alice, your last name is Malfatti?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's funny because yeah, I always have this like I think when I was young, I really liked hockey.
Yeah,
I liked hockey, and hockey players you learn by their last name.
yeah.
So I have a hard time remembering someone's first name by itself. But if I have the two
Oh, two
together,
together.
and it's like yeah, I only have to see it. Well, I probably emailed you a few times, but then
Yeah,
it's unique name,
yeah, yeah,
your
yeah.
first and last name, and then like yeah, I don't know that many Alice's, and then for some reason I remember
It's
you.
funny you remember my last name because it's not common.
It's not that. I think that is
Oh,
probably
maybe.
why. Like my first name's Hogan, and I've there's many people with Hogan as a last name, but I don't. So I'm kind of lucky. People usually remember my name,
Yeah,
my name. So these days, a popular name is Logan. Have you heard of that? Logan? I don't know because of Wolverine or something, that movie, but there's a lot. And then sometimes I'll hear like somebody calling their kid. It's usually now the younger kids
yeah.
Hogan, and it sounds like Hogan, right?
Yeah,
Hogan. I turn it's not, it's like their son. So anyway, come on in. There's someone from Japan who's I'm hoping, oh great, Tomoko is here. Oh, Nikki, hey, nice to see you. So glad you got on. I was just telling Alice, you might have heard that there was someone who used to come here, um, and then they moved back to Japan, and they must have stayed on our mailing list because then she emailed me. She's like, "Oh, I'm sure you don't remember me," and but anyway, I'm in Japan. I want to hear it. And I was like, "Wow, that's."
yeah.
I said,
Oh,
"Yeah, if you can, you know, uh, pick the right
yeah.
time zone, I will send you the link." And um, yeah, so anyway, I was kind of afraid. I'm so glad you're here, Nikki, because yeah, I was thinking of you. You still live out in the west side, right?
I'm
Oh,
yeah, I'm in Fairview.
you've been in Fairview, right? Like I think last time I saw
Fairview.
you, you told me, you were out at Dunbar. I remember when you
Yeah,
moved
that
there.
was a few years back. Yeah, and then I moved here. I want to say about 2021.
I think so. It was after COVID. I remember you
So
told me you
yes,
moved and you
and
found a
it's
good
great.
place and look, you got
Yeah,
some like light behind you. And
yeah,
I remember when you emailed me, I was thinking, it's going to be easier for you if you don't have to do the commute, right? Unless you're teaching the 5 o'clock class or something.
uh,
That was so yeah, no, and I am just yeah, really happy that you're interested, and we'll be excited
yeah.
to share. But I kind of thought, yeah, like, just do what is easier for you, right? Like, I mean, I'm used to
Yeah. Bringing in
doing
that
it.
ease, right?
Yeah, it's just like I've done since COVID with a teacher did a lot of meditation classes, and we were always doing it on Zoom, and it's fine because like you close your eyes and hear really clearly, and it's guiding. Anyway, Alice,
Say
Nikki,
Nikki the
you
teacher.
hopefully know she's well, yeah, Nikki, Nikki.
Yeah.
Nikki, say hi to Alice.
Oh, hi. Hey,
She
see you
can't really.
tomorrow.
Oh, great, you go to the class. If she says something, I'll unmute it, but this will give it a better recording. Anyway, Nikki, just you have the link to that file, right? Did I sent you in the email a kind of
Yeah.
a
No.
no, like on that email, there's another link to kind of like the actual course and the materials.
Oh, I didn't. I don't see that in the email with the Zoom link, but
It's only the Zoom link, and on did I not send you another email after, or maybe on that one, and it said, here are the materials. I was just going to show Alice. Unfortunately,
oh,
I took out the dividers, but just kind of flip through a little bit, maybe wait a few more minutes. You don't see, if not, I can, I kind of will tell you what to, if you don't see a link, Google up
is it the
Asians.
world view? Yeah,
Yeah. Okay, you see it?
yeah.
Great, great, great. And then so in the upper left-hand corner, there's like course two.
Okay,
And
great.
then, yeah. And then, so then, you scroll down and then there's this, all these links to all these files, like readings, homework,
Great.
you see all those, yeah.
Yeah.
They're probably the first one. What is the first one called? Course outline?
The perfection of wisdom
Yep. Hmm.
for
And but what
class,
is the first link, like kind of first thing that you can download?
like part one.
Yeah. What does it? Maybe I'll take a look and see what I see. It just, I thought that way, because I had the copies here, but
I don't think they're handouts, they're audio clips.
yeah, you don't need the audio clips because I'm going through that. But here, let me
They're
get on.
handouts.
Yep. So you got onto course two, right?
Yeah.
Formal study course, course two, Buddhist Refuge. So do you see like in the kind of middle of that page, binder, cover, and spine?
Yep.
Oh, and then there's one prayers, course syllabus, and readings.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, though click on, that prayers one because that's how we start the class with a short
Okay.
little prayer, right? And then
Oh,
you can open up the other ones because those are the other things that are supposedly in the binder that I was
great.
gonna print up today, but unfortunately the printers down the street, he had an emergency and he couldn't they're not open today. But
Oh,
anyway, yeah, now you have all the, some people don't
great.
need the actual paper. But yeah, you got the prayer. Let me just check if Tomoko emailed me and she didn't get the link or something. Okay. No. Okay. But these are the prayers. You see the prayers, Nikki? It's offering the mandala. It's kind of like the first page. This is what we're gonna go over. Feel free, Alice, have a pair. Maybe, sorry, Nikki, you can't eat the pear online, but I will save you one. It's from it's from someone's garden. And they have these Asian pears, and she's like, "No, go help yourself." They are. If you like pears, they're sometimes are better peeled. Like the peel's a little bit.
So weird.
Yeah, you can tell it's like really natural, right? It's not so. Well, actually, they look more like this, kind of like perfectly round, but they're bigger. But anyway, I haven't tried it, but I heard they're good. Okay. And Alice, you know where water is if you need it. Okay, I will get started, and if the other two people join, they can join in a little bit later. So I'll kind of just voice record this too on my phone because sometimes the recording wasn't really good on the computer. So, okay. Otherwise, to thank you so very, very much, Alice and Nikki, for coming to class. Because, you know, in that last session, there were, okay, I can say there was one class where the two people didn't get to come, and yet I had promised some other people I would record it. So I kind of taught it with nobody. And then, it feels different, you know, when you're, even though this type of class, I have to admit with you, isn't so much like, you know, back and forth. There's a lot of material. So just kind of expect that. So feel comfortable, grab some bolsters. I don't mind you lying down or leaning against the wall. You don't have to be sitting up straight for an hour and a bit. You too, Nikki, just kind of get comfy, hopefully have a yummy drink or something. Because as I told Alice, I have a pair, which since you're coming tomorrow, I'll hide somewhere you can have when you come to class. But to also congratulate you, because there's something that my teacher shared, which I always felt like was a nice pat on the back. But as I've learned about Buddhism, I know it's not just a nice pat on the back. It's, you know, they said to learn about Buddhism takes a lot of good karma. That, well, like as you know, Alice, you signed up for the earlier one and you couldn't make it, right? And, it does happen. We all are busy, and on a nice last summer afternoon, it's not everyone's first place to go to. So they say just getting here and hearing these ancient teachings, it means you have great virtue. And, you know, you don't have to take that from me, but just for whatever reason you came here to learn, to find out a bit more about, really thank yourself, because I've had many people say they're interested in the course, and it is a little hard to, you know, make it to class, even make time to listen. So yeah, really thank yourself for that, or whatever reason you're here, because uh, as Nikki and I know in yoga, you know, the hardest part of yoga is making it to the mat. So thank you. And for those who are going to be listening later on, I definitely wish you the same. So there is some nice intro stuff, but officially, these Buddhist classes start with a little prostration, a little bow. And traditionally, the prostration was meant for the teacher. But when I first took it, the teacher first said, you know, in the West here, we're not a tradition that bows a lot. Prostration isn't something we naturally do, and it can bring up weird feelings. So just think of it like almost like a namaste, which means a spirit in me saluting the spirit in you. Think of it as we're saluting each other that are in the group for making it here, and I'm saluting you because, again, I can't teach without students, and also students are really the teacher's teacher. So three little prostrations, and you can just kind of do a little bow. You can even do it in sitting if you like, but one of the bonuses of kind of standing up and doing it, you kind of move your body a little bit. So you're meant to connect your body over your head to your speech and your mind. Come onto your knees and bring your head down. It's meant to also put down your pride and open up your mind so that you open to learning, body, speech, and mind. So you can do that 3 times. Speech and mind. Okay. To thank you again for coming, hearing a little bit more. So I think I wanted to maybe start, as I said, a lot of this class will feel like me talking, but at least on the first class, I wanted to ask just your knowledge, understanding, or experience with Buddhism. Um, some people have. I remember in the first course, there's some people who had gone to another Buddhist center and had learned a bit. Nikki, I'm just going to put you on the speaker so Alice could hear you. And then maybe you can hear Alice too. Let me see. Because Alice is close to you, and then I'll put back on my headphones. Microphone. Okay. All right. Whoever wants to share first, it doesn't have to be. If you have no experience, nothing, no with Buddhism, that is fine. But Alice or Nikki, whoever would like to share kind of what's zero. Okay, that sounds good. That's how I came into it. I'd be honest, very close to zero. How about you, Nikki?
I've been learning a little bit. The last silent retreat I did, they were introducing, like it is a teachings of the Buddha, so they're introducing me to concepts from the Dhammapada.
The Dhammapada. How do you spell that? I've never heard of that.
Oh, really? Yeah, Dhammapada.
Okay. Spell it one more time. I just have to see it in my head to remember.
I can get the book. I have the book.
Oh, okay. I'll show you this book. This is part of my introduction to it. So,
Very dark in my room. But
yeah.
the
Oh,
Dhammapada?
okay.
Guess that's backwards for you, eh?
No, it's perfect. Translation of the Buddhist classic with annotations. Oh, nice. By Jack Cornfield. I know Jack Cornfield.
He
So,
does the forward. Yeah.
yeah, no, I've heard of him. So, okay, wonderful. So you're enjoying it?
I just picked it up actually, so it's just the text that the teachings they were offering were coming from. So
Okay.
I was like, I'll go deeper. So yeah,
Oh,
just been introduced to it.
okay. That sounds good. For you, I'll leave on speaker if somehow we need to say something that Alice can hear, but I will gonna myself the mic. I'm gonna keep to the show. It records better. Okay. Um, well, I think my intro was, I mean, we all start from zero, but it was actually my mom. My mom was, so I think it was quite a few years ago because my younger sister 10 years younger than me, and she was in her teenage years. And so it was quite difficult for my mom, single mom. Had moved out to Vancouver already. And yeah, she had told me how challenging my sister was. And somehow a friend or she, I don't know what, got to go to a Chinese Buddhist temple in Toronto. And from what I heard, just enjoyed it and started going every Saturday, learning about the teachings, and it kind of really hit me. She was pretty serious because one Christmas, I don't know whether I was going to go home or I asked, and she's like, "No, don't come. I'm going into retreat." And they usually would have the retreat during the Christmas holidays because more time people have off. And so yeah, she took it. What I loved is that she never really was pushy about it. She did kind of give me, I don't know whether you've seen, it's broken now. I did bring it, a little chanting machine. You turn it on and it goes Namo Ami, and it just repeats Namo Ami Tofu. She's like, oh, just think of it like a yoga mantra. Just repeat it. It's gonna provide a good energy in your space. And she made me wear a little kind of jade Buddha, which I was a little bit resistant to. I was like, you know, not that I thought it was cool or not. I didn't want to wear anything. And then she's like, just wear it, I'm like, wear it for me. It's supposed to be a little protection. I'm like, okay, fine. I used to have to wear, my mom being a single mom, I had a key. I always had a key and I wore it so long that the key broke one day. I lost the key. And so I had the memories of that. So anyway, she did, yeah, gave me those two, but she never really, yeah. And she gave me some little books from her, from the Buddhist temple. And, I, she's like, they're very precious. Don't just throw them out. Keep them even if you don't read them. And so I kept them by my bedside table. And I have to admit, I did sometimes, things weren't going good. I kind of flip and take a look. But it, this is the example of like when your karma's not there, you're not going to receive it. I'd open it up and it it was difficult to read. It was challenging. I didn't really understand it. Uh, yeah, I couldn't get into it, and so I just kind of left it there. And I think eventually I even gave it back to another Buddhist temple because I needed more space on a bedside table. So the book that I had just shown Alice, I will show Nikki. Nikki, have you seen this one? Diamond Cutter. More important, it is this the teacher, Geshe Michael Roach. He is, he's the one who actually created this correspondence course or created this series. I'll tell a bit more about later. But we're having a coordinator meeting. Nikki knows because she used to be one. And Farah, Nikki, I don't know if you know, she gave this book to me as a present, as a Christmas present. And the title is like Buddha on managing your business and your life. So I was like, okay, as even if I flip through it, you flip through it, it's actually like in English. Like, I mean, it's not written like in Buddhist writing, and basically it was this American student who was really smart. I think when he finished university in the States, he was probably one of the top students. He got a prestigious award from Princeton. He got into Princeton and then he went to the White House to receive an award. And I'm sure if you Google it up, you'll hear more about it. What I do remember is he went to India, somehow, I think, met the Dalai Lama and was told to go into Tibet to the Saramay monastery to learn more. And so he followed. He studied there. Monks, as some of you may not know, they usually start, they were in Tibet. Anyway, the tradition was the family would give the kids to the monastery and kids would grow up there, not see their parents anymore, but they'd get the full education. And so it's a 18 to 20-year course to become a geshe. And so he kind of started it there. The Dalai Lama told him, this current one told him to go to New Jersey and study with Ken Rinpoche, very well studied monk, and who had moved over to New Jersey to start up a temple, and told him to go there to study and continue his studies. So I guess partly how he is famous was that he went to learn. I don't think it took him 18 to 20 years, but as part of his studies, Ken Rinpoche told him, I don't want you to just learn theory of Buddhism. I want you to put it to practice. So I want you to go to get a job. He didn't really want to go get a job. He said, I want you to get a job and put into practice what you learn, see if it actually works. And so a lot of the Buddhist teachings talk a bit about the diamond. They use it as a metaphor because diamond is the hardest object on earth. They said supposedly this is really cool. If you stack a wall of diamond, it's so clear you won't know that there's a sheet of diamond. It's so, I don't know. And every part of a diamond you break into whatever smallest piece or large piece, they all have the same quality. So it's quite significant in Buddhism. So he decided he wanted to work in the diamond business. And he went to New York, and luckily, karmically, he found somebody who was starting a diamond business. So he got in there early. He talks about this in the book, and he starts applying the principles that he learns. He has challenges too. His boss yells at him often, the saviors, and then yeah, he writes this book. It's not very thick. While he created this course, he said he condensed the 18-year study into 18 courses, with his intention of having students who finish it teach it to Westerners. He, I think, was the first maybe American geshe. So, and then after he taught this course, this is where on that website, all his classes were recorded. And so it started in 1993. I think after 6 years or something, he finished writing this book, submitted it to the publisher, and went into retreat for 3 years, 3 months, 3 weeks, 3 days. There's something significant about that. And yeah, he was not reading news. He's kind of out in Phoenix. And yeah, when he comes back out, he learns that this becomes a bestseller. And then he's written more books. If you, as I said, Google it up, he's writing a few more other books. One I know Nikki and I would really like is that part of Buddhism is the open teachings, and at the end you go into the secret teachings. And funny enough, when he learned about it, he learned it is like the yoga that we practice. And so he was really surprised because he's like, yoga was getting really popular and he was seeing many people practice it. And so we're kind of practicing the advanced part of Buddhism. So yeah, I got this book from Farah, and it did sit on my bedside table for a little while. But then it's you can borrow it, sign it out, borrow it. And yeah, I know that's the thing. Don't worry, you just come to class. But anyway, if it is, I bet you it's in Italian. Yeah, I'm sure it's a bestseller. It's been, translated into many languages. Um, so I was reading it, and then it actually had a section on, going to a forest retreat. And Nikki just went to a 7-day retreat. I did it's my 13th retreat. Just went off in the woods. You do 4 1-hour meditations a day, and then you go out for a walk, but you're secluded, you're not on your phone. First few years, it suggested you could bring a book, like something spiritual, not just a fun book. But past few years, I've been told not to read anything and just bring a journal and just let it out. Don't put anything in. So yeah, I started with that forest retreat and did it for 1 or 2 years. And then, I was looking to learn more about yoga since I teach too. I didn't find any yoga philosophy courses at the time. And then Nikki might know, I don't know, Alice, have you ever met Mariska? No? She was a teacher. She actually was someone in our teacher training. We went through our teacher training and then started teaching here. And she offered one of these courses called Asian Classics Institute. It's kind of like the title. You started at course number 6 or 7 about karma. She thought maybe that would be interesting to more people. And Friday afternoon at noon, and I had usually my Fridays off, so I'm like, okay, I'll go. And I took the course. And so yeah, I came in like you with like zero, maybe a bit more. I had the little thread, little necklace. And I won't say there's some people who, when they go into something, they jump off the deep end, right? And then they just like get right in there and they do but I'm more like go in the shallow end. I did it with yoga. I just kind of do a little bit and just a little bit. And uh, so I just took the class once a week. Um, and finished the course and was still kind of like, okay, it's not bad. But she offered another one, and I didn't have anything else on Friday, so I continued. And she, these courses, it's 10 classes per course. And she would take the summer off. So we only did like 3 courses in a year, right? I think she did about 2 years. She probably did about 6 courses. I know we did this one with her because I have my notes from it. And I would say, yeah, slowly the ideas opened up to me. I would still admit I had resistance. Some Fridays it'd be really nice outside, and I'd be like, "Oh, I'm gonna go to class." I went because actually there was only a few of us. Sometimes it's just me, and sometimes it was like 2 or 3 other people. Um, and I went, and the funny thing I remember is on the days I resist the most, like I didn't want to go. It's almost like going to yoga. You don't want to go. For the days I felt the best after the class. When you don't feel good, you feel better. Whereas when you feel good, you feel just as good after class, right? So, but I did get into it. I was open to the ideas, and the binder, Nikki, that you're seeing. I actually do have a binder. I didn't know you were coming, and as I said, the photocopier was closed. But I was going to give you guys the binder with all the notes in it, and I still can if you come next week. Um, but the great thing is the teacher, Mariska, said, you don't have to do the homework. You can just come listen to the class. You can miss some classes. You can, and she just left it like, don't, you know, uh, put it as a burden. And I think because she did that, that's going to make me come. I'm like, okay, great. There's no pressure. But I kind of wanted to, know. But there was a student in the class and she had a binder. And so I think on the end of the first class, I asked her, oh, what does your binder look like? And she showed me all those sections in the website with the divider. And she said, oh, well, after the class, there's a short reading usually to do. And then there is some, from what Geshe Michael Roach originally taught, um, not everything's in the reading. There's many things that he goes over that is what I have to share in the class. And some of the things I share in the class were written down by a student as kind of notes, like stuff that is not in the reading, but that is important to know. Important to know for the homework, for the like about 7 or 8 homework questions that he puts in. And the intention is, these are the important points. There's many things you'll hear, but these are the important points he wants you to do. So suppose you do the homework, hand it in the next class, but the answers are in there. So if you forget, you can, or after you do the homework, you can right away check to see if you understood what you didn't understand. And then the marking is just kind of, I think, part of the process. You get it back. And then there's out of those 7, 8 questions, there's like 2 or 3 more important ones is kind of like the quiz that you're supposed to do, building up to like a final exam at the end of the 10th class with 30 questions. So again, that's all optional, but she gave me this binder in the second day, like this fellow student. She's just like, oh, I want to gift it to you. And I was like, oh, thank you. And she's like, yeah, you were interested in it. I just want you to have it. You don't have to do the homework. And but because, she prepared it, I felt like, okay, I'll do it for this course. And I did do the homework and it was easy. Took half an hour, tops an hour. Um, and I continued for the courses that Mariska taught, the first 6. And then Mariska took a break. She's like, I think there's something happening at home. She couldn't teach it anymore. But then I'd gotten into the rhythm. I'd gotten into like looking forward to hearing a little bit on Friday, having a class, and then the following Tuesday I'd do the reading and do the homework, and it would just help me remember points that I could apply in my life. Help me deal with open door, help me deal with my family, um, definitely my kids, like anything that challenges me, it seemed to help me with. And so, yeah, that's how I got started. And when Mariska finished teaching, I was kind of in the rhythm. I'm like, well, on the website, they have all his audio teachings. So I could just do it myself. So on Friday, I would just play, and, it's an hour and 15, an hour and a half class. And then Tuesday, do the homework. And then Mariska was like, yeah, you can hand me the homework. You know the answers anyway, but I mark it just for the record. And I slowly worked and took 7 or 8 years because until I finally finished all 18 courses. And then that was, well, I started the course 10 years ago. I finished it, and supposedly there's this final exam on all these ones. And but they repeat a lot. The most important points are repeated a lot. And so these teachings are considered what they call the open teachings that Buddha taught to everybody. And that after that, he has some secret teachings, which were limited to, I guess, students who finished the open teachings. So right now, that's what I'm taking. I think after I finish the course, Mariska's teacher, John, who's teaching the meditation class tomorrow, Sunday, uh, was introduced to me by Mariska as like, a potential secret teaching teacher. And the whole funny thing is that I told you Mariska took our teacher training. John actually took our teacher training. He took it first. And then when he liked it, he told his student Mariska to take it. So then I'm now taking it from John, who I taught yoga. And it was actually through his teacher training, he met someone in his class who took this one course and said, John, you'll love it. Come. And well, introduced him to it. And he just jumped in the deep end, and he did like 2 courses at a time. And he finished it all in like 2 or 3 years. And so he, uh, right now is my Buddhist teacher. And he said, yeah, if you want to learn, as Nikki knows, one reason why a lot of us yoga teachers are teaching is to learn more about. So the reason I'm teaching now is to learn it better. I'm kind of doing the readings. I'm like, oh, I skimmed through it the first time. I tried to get the homework done, but I wouldn't remember everything. Now it's like a lot of stuff. It's like, oh, okay. And now it makes sense more. So I had told, my teacher, John, Lama John, I call now, yeah, that if it's only a few people, I'm fine. Learning this again is valuable for me. So that is kind of the story of how I came into this. And Nikki knew, and Alice, you knew, I started the first course. Though I liken these courses to be, I won't say like a Netflix series with season 1 and 2, because some of those you need to watch the first season, right, to really understand. But a good series, I would say, a good series, if you start in season 2, you should still understand. Like they'll give you enough, right? So they're actually, this is quite a little bit different. There's just so much, you know, uh, Buddha, once I say he had a lot, but there's so much commentary on what he wrote that uh, important stuff, as I said, it's repeated every class, or every course. But it's fine. As I said, we started in course 6, and you can understand. So that is what I wanted to start as an introduction. And just kind of explain that the Buddhism that you're kind of learning, is would be called Tibetan Buddhism. That officially it started in India. Shakyamuni Buddha in 500 BC is supposedly the one, they'll give credit to for the teachings. That's the image you usually see of him. But it got brought to Tibet, and the funny thing is, though it started there, I don't know exactly when. So I wrote it down. But the Muslims burned all the books in Sanskrit, and so there's hardly any Buddhist books in Sanskrit anymore. But the ones in Tibet, some of them got burned too. China invaded, but a lot of them still exist, the ones that still exist. And Geshe Michael Rochi made a lot of money as being kind of like the early uh, helper in the company, uses funds to help fix up the monastery. And he started getting the Tibetan monks to type in all the existing books into a database so that it will be available, and then getting others to translate it so that it's in English so that it can be understood. So that's what he's continuing to do. Um, so, but yeah, if people are saying, "What are you learning?" You're learning Tibetan Buddhism. I just borrowed the Buddhism by Dummies because I remember I kind of feel that there is a lot of different. I'm sure the one, Nikki, you're taking is probably a little bit different. Supposedly they will use Buddha's writings as a source, but I can tell now that the temple my mom went to was more devotional. Tibetan Buddhism tends to be a little more intellectual, so that's why there will be homework, whereas my mom, I'm sure, never got homework. Yeah, they may have interpreted certain things slightly different. So I'm interested to know more about the other, just kind of in general. But this Tibetan Buddhism seems to so far feel, understandable to me. It didn't feel too much. Like, I mean, I don't memorize all the dates or everything, but it's, yeah, the important point should be the same, though it's stressed more or less in different lines of Buddhism. And that, I think one thing that always attracted me was that this was the lineage. Even in Tibet, there's a lot of different splits, just like the church, Christian church. But this one, the Gelugpa lineage, is the one where the Dalai Lama is from. And that's, one I've had the pleasure of hearing when he came to PNE a few years ago. That a lot of people will connect with Buddhism when they. So, yeah, I feel like in that way, I know I'm getting it from source. So, okay. So let me kind of start with, I think what's important is a famous quote by Buddha. And this one is the saying, it's part of his 4 Arya truths. That really simple, life is suffering. Have you heard of that one? You heard of that one? Nikki, you heard of that one? Yeah. Did you say yes?
Yeah, I'm just lying down.
Oh, good, 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 good. Yeah, 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 yeah. You just kind of shout out yes. Okay, awesome. It is funny because I didn't hear of it. I didn't hear that saying before. I didn't. I have to admit that before this course, I would say if someone said, "What is life for you?" I'd say life is beautiful. That famous movie, that title. That I had a lot of tough things I will share. I'm certainly in the course, but I kind of thought the way that got me through all those tough times was that, you know, that there were lessons for me, that there's obstacles for me to overcome, even if some I was still working on, that I felt like, we are really, for sure, we are so blessed to be here of all places in the world in paradise in Vancouver here, right? Where it's fresh air, fresh water. I mean, we're not in a war state, it's really safe, relatively safe. I mean, it is, can't take it for granted, all the blessings we have by being able to live here, right? Um, and yeah, so I would say no matter how, maybe when I was feeling really bad, obviously I wouldn't think that, but if I could, practice yoga and feel better, I could say, okay, there, uh, there's still many beautiful things in life. There's many things I want to do and try. And that, yeah, life is meant to be lived, right? So, yeah, this one was a shock to me because I'd never heard it before. Life is suffering. And well, I mean, then that will be the question I throw to you since you guys heard it. What evidence or did you hear anything more about that reason? And Nikki, if you want to just chill and just listen, you don't have to say anything. But uh,
I don't remember honestly, but I did like some.
okay. And how did that connect to you? Did you feel like it's true or not true?
I feel like it comes from a person that probably had a lot of suffering in life.
Mhm.
So I feel like, yeah, you have to like put it in the context.
In the context.
Yeah,
Okay.
I feel like some people they don't agree or they don't understand.
Okay. 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 That sounds
People,
okay.
maybe they can see that.
Nikki, can you hear Alice?
Yeah, parts of it, yeah.
Okay. Okay. You just, Alice, go a little closer just in case. I mean, if Nikki wants to share, I mean, for you, Nikki, then that, thank you, Alice. I just wanted to hear when you heard that saying, how or what your feeling about that saying is now. Nikki?
Yeah, yeah, I'm just thinking.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, life is suffering. I always looked at it like suffering's a part of life, but I didn't look at it as like defining life that way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. I can definitely agree like you. Yeah, that we all have suffering, right? But yeah, that is, you know, he is defining it as life is suffering. And this is a part where I'll kind of ask you to kind of just stay open to, even if maybe you don't right now, because in some ways it is a foundation of Buddhism, that this life we're living in is suffering. And it took me, I think, a little while to kind of, you know, Merska would say, I think Geshe uses the same term. They're like, if there's ideas, presented in Buddhism that don't, that you don't connect with right away, don't throw it out. They say cook it, meditate on it, think about it. It may not connect with you right away, but it could over time, and maybe then you'll start looking for evidence of it. Um, but this is yeah, yeah. You're not saying you don't agree. Oh, you agree? Okay. Well, it is still a really important one because, yeah, this is supposedly why it definitely pulled me into continuing to take class as it kind of, and this is where, the explanation is, you know, you have to admit, maybe if not yourself, someone around you, maybe someone older, your parents, family. I mean, you can just go down to the downtown east side if you can't think of anyone, but there are people who are suffering physically, right? They are suffering mentally. We all do. My sister-in-law just came down, and if I tell you her life, you'd be like, wow. But then she is just feeling depressed. And I was, I was thinking, well, we're not in the winter yet. There's still the sun out, right? But anyway, she is, and there's no doubt about it. And emotionally, I've definitely suffered. Sure you have too. But we kind of move through that. So people can be suffering emotionally and even spiritually, you know. I am getting older, not shy to say I'm 51, and but um, I went back to Toronto, and there are people. I mean, it's an age group. It's kind of like the midlife crisis. And I did admit, I would say that had I not kind of started this 10 years ago, I might be in a little bit of one now. I would say. I love my wife, but who knows? I'm like, yeah, I can understand why some people have a midlife crisis, males. I won't speak for females, but I will say for males, I can understand. So there's people who are obviously suffering under those things, and you can admit that for them, they might go, yeah, life is suffering. It's a hard thing to escape from those things when you're stuck in it, and there seems to be no way out, right? And Buddhism wouldn't even just say that. That they'll say, yes, is not so good karma of being in life, but Buddhism will generalize that life, human life, I'll say even animals too, part of the suffering that they talk also about beyond this obvious suffering is the fact that we all have to get old eventually. And that if you don't get old, or you do get old, you will eventually die. And some on their way to death will get sick. So the fact that we get old, some of us get sick and die, is what they will say is their definition of life is suffering. That there is whatever happiness and pleasure, and I'll give you I'm not going to ask you to name yours, but just think about things that you like. Think about a few things that you do enjoy. That one thing they'll say is that whatever it is, think of one thing. Could you keep doing it and still keep the same pleasure? Mine was eating something. Like at a certain point, you get tired. I get tired of eating that. And I agree. Everyone does. You can't keep eating something and not get tired of it. You will be full. You'll get sick of it. What can you keep doing and keep doing? That might, you go, oh, I could be doing that now at 3 o'clock. Or what could you be doing later tonight that you could just keep doing and still not get tired of it? Right. So these are like, these two examples, the fact that we all get old and die, it's almost like we accept that. I guess that is what we've grown up to accept. We see everyone else do that, right? They all will get older, they will get sick, they'll die, we get tired of something, we all know that. We all kind of all know that, but this is where the Buddha is saying that this life that we're living, and they use this word samsara, of this life that we're living, is suffering because of those things. That there's anything that you love, and you can think of something inanimate. I think a lot of people will think of relationships, I don't just mean like personal ones, but family or friends, they can change. You probably have seen, I've seen quite a few where it's like lovey-dovey, and then on a split second, it's, I couldn't believe how now there's no communication. It's over, you know. And they say if you do have a wonderful relationship for all of your life, at the point that you die, they are not going to go with you. You cannot take them with you. So they're saying anything physical. You know, people work, some of the people work their whole lives to accumulate money. Can't take that with you. We can be healthy. I think we're all doing yoga. We're doing it because we're wanting to keep our health for as long as we can. But, and maybe eventually you will die because of an accident. Maybe you'll have great health. My mom is 82. She's amazing health. Like she's walking, eating, you know, wearing ripped jeans. I was like, my son gave me his ripped jeans. I was like, oh, I think I'm a bit too old. I see my wife, one mom is 82. She's wearing ripped jeans. I'm like, I'll wear those. Start wearing ripped jeans. Like, yeah, she's a model for me for health, but eventually it will, like my grandma, they were really healthy and then they got like, and then they passed away in a month. My grandma did. So your health, nothing you will very rarely will last your whole life. And if it does, when you die, it won't go with you. Nothing goes with you when you die. Now, that supposedly is what we know. And this is, again, part of their definition of that life is suffering, that everything you work for in this life, what you cherish, what you collect, what you enjoy. You know, I know Nikki loves being outside, you know, just like it will come to an end. And so this is where, you know, we kind of accept like these are the rules of human life. But this is where Buddha will say, imagine if you didn't have to get old, you didn't have to get sick, you didn't have to die, that you could stay forever happy. And I say that, and it might seem like, ooh, that's, yeah, a dream. But I think we all, you know, you hear the Christians talk about heaven, that is supposedly what they're imagining too, you know. This is where Buddhism talks about being a Buddha. There's different stages along the way, but being a Buddha would be supposedly like that, that you are in existence where you can live forever and not get sick, not get old, and that you are, you know, the joy, they say, of life is being able to help everybody. Unlike the Christian definition of God, where God supposedly can do everything, Buddhas are different. They say they know everything. They know what we're thinking about. They know what has happened, but they cannot change everything. They're not omnipotent. They say they're omniscient. That means they know everything, but they're not omnipotent, where they can do everything. So the only way they can really help us is by teaching us, by, you know, having us make the change. You know, that if we were, you know, one of the big crimes is killing someone, you know, that if suddenly we were all, you know, killers, you know, that somehow we got a teaching, or somehow we got a realization that, oh, killing isn't good anymore, you know, and we made that change. That is what Buddha could help us with. You know, they can emanate supposedly to be anything. It could be something, an object, it could be a person, you know, and they, through that, if they can help, just say, for example, I was a killer and you're here and as Alice, and somehow you shared with me, like Farah did, like a book that you could say it was the thing that changed my life. But then maybe some of you will say, no, 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 it's probably your mother, who her learning of Buddhism and not pushing it on you, that was the seed that started you. Whatever you say, maybe both of them, Farah and my mom, were just Buddhas emanating to teach me, to get me to, change the way I thought. But that is supposedly what Buddhas can do. That is what they do. Besides being in Buddha paradise, they're helping all of us who are not Buddhas yet. So that is why they say we're suffering, because we are not there yet. We are in this. Nikki, I don't know if you watched The Matrix. Have you watched The Matrix? Yeah, they actually say that is a Buddhist movie. Yeah, just because of that concept that we're living in a world which we function, but that's not the real world that we're living in. So this is supposedly the same thing. We're living in this world which feels really real to me. You look like you're out there and I'm touching water, and I'm going to sip some water. I can taste it. You can taste a pear, and everything's functioning, but it's not supposedly the only existence that you could be living another existence. Yeah. And this is where, to sum it up, this is what Buddhism is supposedly teaching us to reach, to be Buddhas. Maybe you could say it's just like the Christians trying to help them get to heaven. Yeah. So this is where is life suffering? If you really don't, like if you think, oh, life is still really good and I still have a lot of things I enjoy, right? Even though I can now understand this. If you don't, I think for me, hearing that in a lot of classes and it suddenly like sinking in, I think is one thing that kind of kept me going to learn more. Just kind of like, okay, yeah, I do see now that what I thought is okay and I can cope with is fine. I can cope with it, but there is, a path that can lead me past this life. And so definitely that has. I would say that is the reminder that I got from coming to classes. There's some more practical things I'm going to share about emptiness. Nikki might have heard about it but I'm going to share in next class. That is a crucial part of, this existence that we live in. But yeah, I think I'll kind of stop at that because I do need to kind of go through a little bit of the info on this class. But yeah, when Buddha taught here, last course is at 45 years. Here it said 51. As he has it starting in 500 BC, he taught to a lot of different groups. He said he taught to some people who he didn't share life is suffering. He just kind of told them to be kind. So he said he taught to many groups, and so his teachings weren't an easy path to navigate, and that over time the commentaries and other saints that came, they'd say even other Buddhas that came back in our life as other teachers, put his works into a path that we can follow. And that's, I guess, the gift of what we have right now. One of the teachings that he said, it's called the perfection of wisdom, is kind of what we're learning now. You might have heard of it called Prajna Paramita. It's supposedly a very difficult book, and this is why I think, yeah, you know, some of the books that my mom gave me were kind of like copied from that. And in the first reading, you can read it. Michael Geshe Roach says he picked the easy part of one of those texts to give as like I think it's only like a 10-page reading, but you'll read it and, it just will not really make a lot of sense. Or if it does, then you're really blessed. But it doesn't, even me, I just read it again. And I was like, oosh, you know, but it's divided into 3 books. They have the long one, which is 100,000 verses, medium, 20,000, short, 8,000. And they call it the mother because they said it can give birth to people reaching Buddhahood. So that Perfection of Wisdom book is something you might hear more about. There's a chant, as I said, the Prajna Paramita that I know my mom's temple, they would kind of chant out to repeat. So from that, part of one of the homework questions is, what was a commentary? Like when something's really difficult, the next student will try to, explain it. And so someone by the name of Asanga in 350 AD wrote Ornament of Realizations. And supposedly they give him credit for writing it, but supposedly it was the future Buddha who might reincarnate, named Maitreya, who actually gave him what to write. And even with that, it's actually only 50 pages. And the young monks have to memorize this before they actually learn it. They kind of just have to remember it by rote, and then it's meant to be in code. And then they break it down to explain. But that is too difficult for us to study. So they said in 850 AD, 500 years later, an Indian student named Hari Bhadra wrote it in Sanskrit, as he's in India, wrote something called the Clarification. Now that sounds good. It seems like it's going to be more easy to understand, but even that is still too difficult for us to work with. So he said at his monastery, there was a monk by the name of Kedrup Tempa Dargay, 1493, 1 year after Columbus, he said, to 1568. He wrote the Analysis of the Perfection of Wisdom. And that's from where he took one of the easy parts to put into the reading to give us a sense of what it is, right? And so you can just kind of skim it if you want to. And this is a good explanation. They were saying, why is it difficult? They weren't made for beginners to read. They were actually made for the high-level saints to read. So they were explaining, as I said, what I'm going to describe next class, called emptiness. And it's something that if you haven't experienced, it's hard to, what is the example? I'll use, well, if you describe some place you've been to where we've never been, maybe someplace in Italy, it is difficult. I kind of like the example of, imagine trying to describe sex to a young kid who's never had sex. It's kind of like it can't, right? Because it's a full body experience, right? You can describe it in many ways, but to describe the feeling, So anyway, this is important because this emptiness is something, when you hear next week, you might have even heard it before. It's not that difficult. What is difficult is to actually remember it. Pretty much I'll summarize it. It's saying that things that we experience, that we see outside of us, actually come from our mind, that they're not out there. Like we look at the water bottle, we see the water bottle, we think, oh, it's a water bottle. But when I explain it more next week, you'll hear this explanation that no, this water bottle comes from our head. We project onto it. So we can understand it intellectually. I can explain it in 5 minutes next class, and that teaching is really supposed to help us with how we deal with our own suffering. But there is this intellectual understanding of it, and there's this experience of it. That somewhere on the path to Buddhahood, one of the big steps that we're hoping to reach as Buddhists is what they call the direct perception of emptiness, that you actually experience it, that you actually feel it and see that this came from your mind. And that this direct perception of emptiness, because it's a mouthful, some kind of shorten it to call DPE, I write it in my notes as that, is a really short, it's only like 20 to 30 minutes. And supposedly you can only experience it when you're in meditation. And so part of why I am, for retreat purposes, needing to meditate, the higher levels of yoga is to meditate, is to be able to focus your mind so that you can stay focused on this instead of letting your mind wander all over as they normally are. So they say in that just before you have this direct perception of emptiness, you will suddenly start seeing how you are creating things. And it's kind of like that in the Matrix movie. And it's a small scene, but I remember Keanu Reeves is given the two pills. One pill was to take, you want to see reality or you want to just live, continue? And he takes it, right? And then he says, look at the cat. And then it was like kind of blipping in and out or something. It was like he could see it wasn't real. It's something like that. We start seeing things around us like we're creating it from our mind. And they say when you start seeing that, then you got to go into meditation, and then you'll have this experience of emptiness. So before that experience, everything you see, and I can share that teaching just now, I can share it again next week, but right after you see it, your default will be like, no, that pear is outside of me. It's not part of my mind. It's some object out there, that we will just go back to the way we see things as outside of us. So this is why they say you continue to study and to contemplate, so that you remember this, and that you meditate to help so that you can actually have that experience. So those things help you towards that. But that after you see this direct perception of emptiness, your experience, like I'll say, if you describe a place in Italy we've never been, and once we've been there, it would be like, oh, we know what you mean. And once you've had sex, you know what it feels like, at least your experience of it, right? You will still see things, they say, deceptively, but you will understand that it's coming from your mind. And there's other gifts, other things that happen. They say once you reach that point, you're within 7 lifetimes of Buddhahood. It could be shorter. The secret path, the teachings is supposed to help you reach that within 1 lifetime. So, which is why, I kind of want to skip 7 more lifetimes. But when you die, you can choose to come back, to emanate, to help, others, or you can decide, I'm done with this life. They say for a day after that direct perception of emptiness, you can see people's minds, you can see their mental afflictions. You realize that everything you've ever done in your life has come from acting selfishly, that it wasn't, even your desire to help family it came from something that you wanted to receive for yourself. That they say you understand the real meaning of prostration, that you will see other monks, they commonly in the East prostrate to the Dalai Lama, but you'll really understand why. And that all the teachings, that they call the sutras, stuff that the Buddha wrote, is all true. That you won't doubt it. You'll actually know that it's real. So that's some of the things that you receive after this direct perception of emptiness. And so, yeah, I'll tell more about that in other classes. But coming back to the perfection of wisdom, that's the name of the book that we're studying. But in itself, perfection of wisdom is seeing emptiness, seeing this experience with, they say, bodhicitta. Bodhicitta means with the desire to help all beings. Because, along the way to Buddhahood, where, as I was explaining, the Buddhas, when they're there, they're helping all beings. You can, if you have just had the direct perception of emptiness, you are an Arya, A-R-Y-A. That's a term they say. You've seen the direct perception of emptiness, but you may not have had bodhicitta. And this is something where the desire to help all beings is required to get you to that final place. But you might have just heard about it. It might not really feel like something you really want to do, So the word bodhisattva, which might come up, you might hear, is someone who has bodhicitta. And there's kind of like, the final part of bodhicitta, they say your heart chakra opens up and you just, feel this immense light, and you really do feel like you're wanting to help everybody, animals, people, that saying, we are one, is something you feel. It's not just a saying that we are all connected, So some will say, having bodhicitta is easier than that direct perception of emptiness. You have to have a lot of good karma to get to that point. Bodhicitta you can be meditating on. That's why you see in Buddhism a lot of loving kindness meditations, compassion, karuna, talking about kindness to yourself, to others, as being a way to cultivate that. So a person with perfection of wisdom, you could say, is an Arya Bodhisattva, because they have seen the direct perception of emptiness, but they also have opened up their heart. Someone who is an Arhat, A-R-H-A-T, is someone who hasn't opened up their heart yet, nor seen the direct perception of emptiness, but they've reached what they call nirvana. Now, you probably heard of that term, and usually I always thought it to be like heaven, nirvana. But according to Buddhism, nirvana is just where you have no mental afflictions. And their way of saying mental afflictions is anything that disturbs your mind. So, an arhat can be reached before direct perception of emptiness, or you open up your heart, or some people have to, work towards getting rid of their mental afflictions after that. So it's not like it's always before or after that point. All right. Pardon? It is, yeah, right? Like, just imagine, like nothing disturbs your mind, like someone could say F off to you and you're like, oh, It's fine. Just like saying, yeah, like you just, maybe it's, I mean, I'm sure you've had that experience of after a yoga class, your happiest moments, in your life where just nothing could disturb you. And it doesn't, for us, last for a very long time. But for an arhat, it would be, this is their way of being. They've reached a place where they've gotten rid of mental afflictions. Um, well, I mean, Buddhas supposedly feel joy, so I wouldn't say, I mean, that is a good question, but I won't say, from what I understand, it isn't like the good thing. They will still feel joy, but they might not feel like these momentary spikes of pleasure that we get, or maybe they do, but they kind of just see it as that. They don't get attached to it. Supposedly the suffering we feel is like we want to feel the joy all the time. And, unfortunately, in this samsara that we live in, that's not controlled by something outside of us. It's supposedly controlled by our karma, things that happened beforehand. I want to just kind of finish off because I'm going a little bit. We've got to for sure finish in a few minutes because there is class. So I will go over some of what I don't, just so I'm not super rushed. But this course is about refuge, and so just to the when they talk about refuge, it means protection. That you're going, someplace for protection. And according to Buddhism, this one requires two things. That you wouldn't really need refuge if you really weren't scared of something, right? That in Buddhism, and I'd say something maybe in the West, we don't really have a fear of because we are not brought up to think about reincarnation, right? This is not common for Westerners to think that. We don't fear being reborn as a hell being or as a craving spirit or as an animal. I'll maybe explain that in another class, but those are supposedly lower realm rebirths, and that we, we don't fear that. But people who believe in reincarnation believe that you could be reborn as those things, not just as a human, and so they fear that. But just what I discussed about suffering, that if you think about those things, maybe you will start kind of, yeah, I don't want to get old. I don't want to die. I don't want to get sick. I don't want to have physical, mental, emotional, spiritual suffering. Like you got to have a dislike for those things to actually seek refuge, because this course is saying, well, here, seek refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, as opposed to seeking refuge in, people or money, things in this world, right? We can seek refuge in many things. Like, oh, some of us, I would say I would seek a little refuge in sweets when I'm not feeling good. Sweets seem to give me that, like, oh, it feels good. It's sweet. So you gotta, what they said is have renunciation, that you, some people get this when they're very young, some people when they're 30 or 40, but they say a lot of people in their 60s, 70s, as they get older, will have a sense of renunciation, that they start looking at the end of their life, not wanting certain things. And the second part is a belief that it can protect you. So you got to have the fear or not wanting something, but you also have to believe that these objects of refuge will protect you, right? It's kind of like, I don't know if you have a brother or sister, but just say someone when you're young was bullying you, you wouldn't go to your younger brother or sister to have them protect you. You'd go to your parents, go to a teacher, right? Someone who could protect you. So this is where refuge, you got to go to something that you believe can protect you, that can help you. So as I said, summarize, maybe I'll explain a bit more. Buddhism is saying, take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. And they say, take refuge in the Buddha, even though supposedly we say the Buddha, but there's anyone who's reached that state is a Buddha. So supposedly there are many Buddhas, right? You could be a Buddha and I don't know. You're just emanating as Alice. Now, I could be a Buddha and you know, to you. But the Buddha, they say to take refuge in it. Not like, I guess it could be like how Christians, believe in God. But as I said, Buddha can't change something, they can only teach you. But you're taking belief protection in the Buddha because he actually reached the end. Like if you were saying, I'll take refuge, just for example, you're taking refuge in Hogan. Well, I haven't reached the end of the path. So I can't really help you as much as someone who has, right? So you're taking refuge in the Buddha because he's reached the end, because he's taking care of his own goals. He's happy all the time. He's not suffering. He lives in paradise. So, yeah, that is why, one of the chants is like, I take refuge in the Buddha. Now, as I just told you, the Buddha by itself cannot. Like you could say, I'm going to pray to Buddha, but he's not going to help change. Just say there's something bad at your job, or at your house, or your family. He can't change it. All he can do is change it with teachings. And that's what the Dharma is. And that there's teachings in books, but more importantly is the teaching in your mind. That you can read that, but if you don't accept it and it's not in your head as something you believe, then it won't change how you feel, how you act, right? If I believe killing is fine, I should do whatever is best for me, I'm going to kill, and you say killing is not good, it's not in my mind stream, I'm going to keep doing it. But when I realize, oh, killing someone karmically is going to mean it's going to happen to you, and this is like if you kill, you're going to be reborn in the hell where this and this happens. I kind of believe it. I might stop killing. Then that belief is in my mind stream, right? So the Dharma in our hearts and our mind is more important. And supposedly that's how the Buddha communicates with us. The Buddha is no good without communicating. And his way of communicating was through his words and through the teachings, which hopefully we take into our head. So the last one they say is the Sangha. And if you hear this word Sangha, sometimes it's just used to describe a group of people. Some people say, oh, the Sangha here, you're just a bunch of people practicing yoga, meditation. Some will say it's any group where there's 5 monks. But according to Buddhism, it really is someone who has seen the direct perception of emptiness, who, if they have seen that, then they're a Sangha. And you're taking refuge in those who have seen it because, again, they understand how things work in this world and can help us get there. So those are the 3, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, that we're supposedly taking refuge in. Yeah, I think I'm going to end it at that. The one saying that Michael Geshe Roach said, if you're not suffering now, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, you're not sick or you're not old, he said, it is coming. He said, on the tip of this needle is happiness. Like it just like everything, happiness is very temporary. And that if you have not seen the emptiness things, you are going to suffer. That whatever pleasure and great things you have in your life are not going to last. Right? So as I said, don't have to do the homework. If you decide you want me to, I will make you a copy of it for next week. But he just wanted me to repeat that reading is difficult, but don't worry, you don't have to understand every point. You know, things that might be said in class could be challenging to you or difficult, something I said. And they said, if everything you learn is comfortable, you're not learning. Wise people suffer when they learn. Or another saying he wanted to share was, people who are attracted to small pleasures don't get the big ones. So I will leave it at that. And usually what we end the class with is with the dedication. So if you flip to the sheet there, there is where you dedicate the karma of, yeah, you see that dedication? This one here, yeah. So you don't have to read it out loud if you don't want to, but I will, or you can. And this is meant to just say, you know, when you do things, good things, they give you good karma. And here you're dedicating it to all beings. You're starting to grow your bodhicitta because I'll maybe explain also later that karma that you plant, that you give to others, comes back to you. So anyway, if you'd like to join, do so. But by the goodness of what I've just done, may all beings complete the collection of merit and wisdom, and thus gain the two ultimate bodies that merit and wisdom make. So namaste. I can do 3 prostrations to just finish this. You can do it in sitting if you like. Otherwise, we'll include Nikki, who I think had to come off of the recording. Right. So thank you, Alice. Thank you very much for coming to class. It's such a treat to have you come. I guess, and again, there's no pressure. You don't have to come anymore. I'm going to record the classes. If you can't make it, I will record it and you can watch it. Or else you could also do what, do you live far away, Alice?
No.